Hey, welcome to the Thursday edition of the Betting Edge. Once again, I am Rob Veno filling in for the Prez. He's on a well deserved holiday vacation. You've seen me all week. You see me here again, and it's been a week of first for myself. I have had guests one on one here that I've never been on one on one with before. Obviously, Sports Memo and Wager Talk, combined family here, and we're all getting to integrate with one another as we do so many shows and fill the content for you sports gamblers out there. But today, I will have Tony Finn as my guest. Monday, I had Marco D'Angelo for the first time covering NFL. Last night, Ralph Michaels' presidential address covering NFL football. But today, as I mentioned, Tony Finn, we're going to discuss three games here. We're going to go with one college basketball game, UTEP at Houston. We'll have one NBA game to cover here. That'll be a West Coast barn burner between the Houston Rockets and the LA Clippers. And we'll do one of the more meaningful NFL games this weekend, Dallas at Philadelphia. So without any further ado, I'm going to welcome in my first-time guest here as a host, Tony Finn. Tony, how are you today, buddy?
Great. It's Friday, right? Every day, to me, at my age, every day's Friday. And it's always a good day if I wake up.
Every day's a good day when we wake up. That's beautiful advice for everybody out there. Hey, listen, before we start, Tony, I want to go ahead because Wager Talk is extremely excited. Sports Memo is extremely excited with the promotion that we are running through December the 23rd for all of you listeners, for all of you watchers of our videos, for anybody looking to take advantage of the bowl season, NFL, NHL, NBA, college basketball. Special promotion right now from Wager Talk and Sports Memo, $119. As long as you get in before the 23rd of December, will get you every play through the rest of the year, through December 31, every sport, any handicapper of your choice. And there's plenty of handicappers to choose from between Wager Talk and Sports Memo, guys who specialize in all four sports that are overlapping right now, going on at once. In fact, five, because I always fail to count the NHL because I don't handicap NHL, but the two basketballs, the two footballs, NHL. Handicapper of your choice, $119 will get you every play released by that particular handicapper through the end of the year. Get in on this deal before the 23rd of December. I think it ends on the 23rd of December. Bowl season right out there. Plenty of bowl plays already up and available from a lot of the handicappers, but it kicks off tomorrow. So once again, Wager Talk extremely excited to announce this promotion. $119 handicapper of your choice. Every play, every sport, anything they release, it'll be yours through the end of the season. Just visit wagertalk.com or sportsmemo.com to get yourself started on this terrific promotional package. Tony, let's get into college basketball here. Okay. Do what we do best, which is analyze games. We're going to have UTEP today going to Houston to play a game. Two defensive-minded squads. This game opened Houston -10 with a total of 125. That game has been pushed, both side and total. Houston now a 12.5-point favorite at last check. Total up to 129. Like I said, two defensive-minded teams. Houston coming off a loss. UTEP a pleasant surprise early on this season at 8-1. How do you see this game going?
This is a game that some of these players I'm very familiar with. Some of the coaches, both of us, are quite familiar with. I think we both have some respect for Rodney Terry, UTEP's coach, who I really enjoy watching. He's an old-school, defensive-minded, albeit he does pattern his teams around the player personnel, and if need be, his team can push the pace if they want to. That's not the way we want to play. They have a really good backcourt, takes care of the basketball, and that's something that Oklahoma State gave Houston problems with in their last game. What they lost is that Houston fell down by 18 points, mostly due to turnovers, and that's what Oklahoma State does to you. In fact, if Oklahoma State can shoot 45% from the floor and turn you over 20 times, it's going to be a long night, especially if you're playing in Stillwater for certain. I think this number's a little big. UTEP's a better, as you said, a surprise. I think they're a little bit better than people are giving credit for. And Houston has some issues. They have some new players in the system. Grimes, ex-Jayhawk, All-American. I think number 8 overall player in that 2018 ESPN 100 poll that they did before he went to Kansas. He left Kansas, decided to test the NBA waters after his freshman year. A freshman year that was kind of up and down, which is easy to do in Kansas. They got a ton of talent, and you better be best every game. This is a game where I expect a team that, again, that shoots the best from the floor, that controls tempo. And as we mentioned, as we've talked about in the past, Mr. V, I think Kelvin Sampson, old Oklahoma coach, and has been around for years. He would probably be best suited to have Grimes and Hinton push the pace a little bit against this UTEP team if they want to score the points that they have been scoring. That said, this is a game that I really like. I'll see if I can't find it on the tube, get it taped, talk to some of my insiders from both locations, and see what they expect. But it's a game that I would take the points here. Dr. V, I don't know how you feel, Dr. V. Mr. V, I don't know how you feel, but I would definitely take the points and probably play, all it's lost some value, as you mentioned. I would probably play the over.
Yeah, and like you said, Tony, from a fundamental standpoint, walking the ball up against that UTEP defense, allowing them to set up in the half court is just asking for trouble. So at every opportunity, I would agree with you. Head coach Sampson has the athletes to get out in the open floor, and if they have the opportunity to try and get UTEP out of their comfort zone, boy, I know, I like to put my head coaching shoes on too and think, what would I do if I was the head coach? And if I were Kelvin Sampson, he's knows a lot more than I do about coaching the game, X's and O's wise, but I would be inclined to not make every possession a half-court possession against that defense.
I agree with you.
Let's go ahead and push, Tony, to the NBA, a sport that you and I have covered together throughout recent weeks on our NBA tip-off show. But tonight, there's a nice game going on out west. The Houston Rockets at the LA Clippers could be a prelim of things to come down the playoff road. But for now, we're looking at the LA Clippers team at home, which really got whole the other night. Boy, the players that they got back, Landry Shamet, Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, all present the other night and will all be present here against the Houston Rockets. The LA Clippers are one deep bunch. They opened up here -5 with a total of 233. We've seen a push toward the over in this game. Clippers a 5-point favorite, but I think I saw 235.5 right before we came on air here, Tony. So a lot of, people liking the over early on. We're here early in the day still. Plenty of time till tip-off. But Houston and the Clippers, like I say, a game that we know, nationally televised, a game where both teams respect each other. They'll bring their A game. We're not going to see any load management out of Kawhi or Paul George in this one. You're going to get both teams full focus. How you see it going?
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? That the public, and I don't see this as being any sharp money, at least not from what I see and from my programs, what track public money, et cetera. It looks like to be, and it makes sense to the public over. Everyone's healthy, at least for the Clippers, and it seems like you might see, although the Houston backcourt there with Harden were forced to play a few more minutes against San Antonio the other night than they wanted to. Probably San Antonio had the big lead. Houston did make the comeback, but I think that was a game where they were favored by 10 or so, and at choice, I would guess. My guess is that they would have liked to have seen Harden sit most of the fourth quarter. That didn't happen. So the last time these two teams played, or at least Westbrook, I think, missed 14 of his 20 shots from the floor. I was looking at the box score, and the Rockets still beat the Clippers in that game. I think they were 2.5-point home favorites in that game, November 13th. And if I remember, I don't have the box score up anymore, but I was kind of glancing at it. And they also, the Clippers won 122-119 on their home floor in late November before Thanksgiving, I think. But they failed to cover as 5.5-point favorites then. Now we got a Harden who's averaging about 42 points against the Clippers this year, going tonight in LA. And LA's, what are you showing? I'm showing anywhere from, it's kind of vast. I see a 6 to 7 points in this game. The Clippers being the favorite, being healthy. I don't know if you watched this game the other night, Mr. V, and that was Williams really didn't do much in the first half, but he really, being the first game back, he really found his rhythm in the second half, and I think he poured in about 20 second half points too.
Yeah, they really came alive in the second half of that game. That was against the Phoenix Suns without Devin Booker, but they actually got DeAndre Ayton back for that contest. Yeah. They got a reserve and Ty Jerome back for that contest. Ty Jerome for Virginia national championship team member. playing in his first game in a while. But LA really separated in that game, Tony. And the second half was a little higher scoring than the first. But you got to love the depth of these LA Clippers. Boy, as we speak, Tony, I've got it pulled up right now. There seems to be some recent money on the Houston Rockets side here. Game has been pushed down from 5.5 to 4.5 at most locales. You can still see a couple of fives. So they would expect that we may see a real good game between those two NBA title contenders. Last one we're going to cover here goes to the NFL, and it's a meaningful game. Significance abounds in Philadelphia this weekend. Dallas at the Eagles. Division title at stake. Neither one of these teams are going to be a wild card. Philadelphia has survived the last 2 weeks by the skin of their teeth. Barely got by the New York Giants, barely got by the Washington Redskins. Prior to that, they were getting lit up by the Miami Dolphins. So you might say they're just stumbling into this contest, which the Dallas Cowboys were too, Tony, until last week when Ezekiel Elliott got going, the offensive line got going, and Dallas ran for 263 yards against a team that themselves had been surging late in the season. So I think that Dallas winning that game probably wasn't a totally surprising result, but Dallas winning in resounding fashion the way they did, scoring 44 points, probably surprised even the most ardent of Dallas Cowboy fans. Here we're looking at a game, Dallas and Philadelphia, where the Eagle fans, Tony, a couple of weeks ago were probably ready to jump off the Ben Franklin Bridge. Now they're a little bit calmer. I think that this team feels that they can win this game. A lot to look at in this particular contest. Philly's got that really good run defense. But I'll say this before I get to you. Philadelphia is a team that is noted or anchored on the defensive side by their line. And that line couldn't touch Ryan Fitzpatrick. That line didn't get near the Giants quarterback, Eli Manning. And that line did not get really near Dwayne Haskins until the final play of the game, which turned the point spread all around. I know I was holding Washington +6, so that was a disastrous play. But how do you see this one going? It's for all the marbles here. Dallas is, this game opened, I think, a pick, and Dallas has pushed to it. The line varies everywhere, Tony. You could as low as 1. You could see as high as 2.5. Give us your analysis on Dallas and the Eagles.
Well, I think you'll see a different game. That the game that Philly lost in Dallas at AT&T, it was they were a victim of a lot of different circumstances. And you mentioned that line. Their secondary gets a bad rap. I think they've been called the slowest secondary in the NFL, along with the Giants. And if you don't pressure the quarterback in the NFL nowadays with the receivers, the quality skill set receivers that are in this league, then you're going to look slow at times. You can only cover a kid so long, and that's what a lot of these receivers are. They're kids that run 4.3 40s and that are hard to keep up with. You better get to the quarterback and make him throw off pace. That said, there's questions about Prescott and his health. He missed practice yesterday. I like Philly in this situation. I like Carson Wentz. I think if Wentz just does what he does, and I will say this, Mr. V, if Philly was a little healthier at wide receiver, I would outright call them the favorite here, not the underdog. And they've had some issues with health at receiver that have crippled, that's hurt Wentz and given him some game situations where he just didn't have anybody really to throw the ball to. And you can only keep, you can only cover receivers for so long. You can only keep a good D line out of the backfield for so long as well. I expect Philly to do their best to control this game, win the time of possession, and make Dallas look like they looked before last week's LA game. I don't know whether we want to say, I just don't believe, and I don't know how you feel about this, I don't believe Dallas just miraculously corrected some of the issues they have against in 1 week, in 1 3-hour span against the Rams. I think the Rams suffered some of the same ills that they suffered this year. They reappeared last week in Dallas and made Dallas look like Troy Aikman's in Dallas, and we know that they're not. And a lot of this line movement here is an overreaction, I think, to last week. I think this is a pick'em game. Listen, the quarterback that plays if Wentz plays to his capabilities, uses his receivers, uses his running backs both in the running game and the receiving game, I like Philly to win this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's It's interesting, Tony. There's some injuries here late in the week that are of slight concern, but you would expect anybody who can go will go. Dak Prescott being the latest that we're seeing. Of course, Lane Johnson, important tackle on the Philadelphia side. Nelson Aguilar might get back into the lineup here. Who knows? But, I would expect that anybody who can play in this contest will play.
I agree.
So it should be a real good game here between these two. As you mentioned, people's eyes and their bankroll remember what they saw last.
Sure.
What they saw last was a Dallas destruction of the LA Rams and the Eagles barely getting by. So we'll see how that one goes. Hey, I'd like to thank you, Tony, for being with me here on this edition of Prez's Betting Edge Show. One more time, guys, before we sign off here, just want to reiterate the promotion being run here by WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. $119 will get you all access to the handicapper of your choice. Every play that they release from now through the end of the year will be yours for $119. You can do that through December the 23rd just by visiting WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com. Once again, pick the handicapper of your choice. You've got 5 sports right now, all overlapping. You've got bowl season. You've got NFL, still 6 weeks remaining through the Super Bowl. You've got plenty of options to go with here. Handicappers that cover all these sports. Go ahead and visit WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com. Get signed up now for $119 all access package. Tony, great to talk to you.
Yeah.
You and I, we have to run and go do NBA tip-off, so we will
we do.
say goodbye to the audience. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow with the Betting Edge.
Thanks, Mr. V.